snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys, so I am going to be reviewing all of these graphic novels today because I've read a lot of graphic novels recently and I didn't want to do individual reviews for each of them because there's not too much to say about them. So I'm just going to shove all 7 of these into one review. I'm going to show you guys these in order of the ones that I least enjoyed up to the one that I most enjoyed. So we're going to start off with the ones that were okay and then progress towards the awesome, super amazing, crazy awesome ones. The first one I'm going to show you guys is Volume 2 of Black Science. You guys might remember that I read Volume 1 a while back and I enjoyed it, but I found it quite difficult to get into. I found it quite difficult to attach myself to any of the characters and to really distinguish who exactly is who. And unfortunately that kind of continued a little bit with this one. I did enjoy that we had more people narrating and it changed colour for each person who was narrating the story, but it did still take me quite a while to figure out exactly who was narrating a lot of the time because it's just not always that obvious. Whilst I really like the idea of this world, it's like science fiction, magical world where they have this kind of device that allows them to hop between different dimensions and travel to different worlds, and they kind of can't control it because it's broken, which is what we find out in the first volume, and that is a continuing theme throughout this one. They're still hopping through various different dimensions and not really knowing where they are, and I love the fact that we got to see loads and loads of different places, but I just felt like the overall story was not strong enough to keep me interested in it. It was fine to get through, it wasn't difficult to get through, but it just didn't grip me anywhere near on the same level as some of the other graphic novels I've been reading recently, and it just fell a little bit flat for me. So even though it was a decent read, it just wasn't outstanding, and I don't think I'll be continuing on with the rest of the series. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the artwork because I do think that the artwork is very, very pretty at times. Equally, I think it can be quite gruesome or quite scratchy, and I think sometimes that really takes away from it. There are scenes where it's really, really beautiful and the colours are just stunning, and then equally there are scenes where I just felt like it was too mismatched and there was really a lot of stuff going on. It was quite chaotic and I didn't really get the flow of the story whenever it was like that. There are some really, really beautiful pages, but equally it just had some scratchy pages that I didn't really enjoy. So on the whole for this one I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was alright, but I definitely don't think I'm going to be continuing on because it just hasn't progressed in the way that I hoped it would, and I'm not attached to the characters, so I probably won't be picking up any more of the ones in this series just because they're not really interesting me as much as I would like, and graphic novels are a lot more expensive than regular books because obviously they have artwork, and I don't feel justified paying more for this series when I'm not getting enough out of it. So on the whole, 3 out of 5 stars, not really that great but also not terrible. The story's okay, the characters are okay, the artwork is good and bad in places. On the whole, not my favourite graphic novel, but I'd love to hear your thoughts if you guys have read this. The next one I have to show you guys is Volume 4 of Chew. This is by John Layman and it is called Flambe. I read this as part of the Rainbow-thon, and I have to say I'm enjoying this series. Every volume I do tend to enjoy. I didn't enjoy this one quite as much as the 3rd volume. I felt like the 3rd volume was definitely my favourite of the series so far, and unfortunately this one didn't quite keep on the same level as the 3rd volume, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars. So I had to give this one a 4 out of 5 stars, but still it's a really, really entertaining read. It continues to follow our main character of Tony Chu, who is a Chibopath, and he has the ability that whenever he eats something he will be able to kind of think about these various things or have psychic visions to do with the food that he's eating. Strange things happen when he eats stuff. And it's not just food that he eats, he does end up eating body parts and dead animals and all of this horrible stuff. So it's a pretty gruesome series. I wouldn't recommend it if you're not into a little bit of gore because it definitely has that. But it is quite a funny series as well, and I definitely enjoy the art style and the story. It's easy to get through. It's never a hard task, and I'm definitely connected to some of the characters in this. I find like they're really, really funny and they're entertaining, and it's a good, fun read. So this volume in particular focuses on Tony and his friend, his kind of co-worker, as they walk around and try and figure out what's going on when these massive fiery letters have appeared in the sky and no one really knows exactly what's happening. So yeah, it's a pretty strange sort of detective-y story. I definitely love this series, it's a lot of fun. This one got a 4 out of 5 stars from me, and I definitely wanted to continue on with the series. The next graphic novel that I picked up was volume 5 of Chew. This one is called Major League, and it's obviously following Tony Chew again, so it's a continuation of the same story. This one, as you might guess, has a kind of focus on sports, and generally baseball is the main focus. I didn't have a real passion for baseball. I don't really understand it because obviously I'm from the UK. We don't really play baseball over here, so I don't really get it. It's not about the game, it's about the players and the team. I enjoyed seeing the way that Tony was kind of incapacitated in this one, and therefore we got to see some of his other family members and friends in a little bit more of a spotlight position, which we hadn't had up until that point. So we get to see a few people who have been mentioned a few times, but we actually see them come into their own a lot more in this one, which I really, really enjoyed, and I felt like that was a great highlight on them, as opposed to Tony being the main character the whole way through. So on the whole, the mystery element was kind of funny. There was some stuff that happened in this that I wasn't expecting, and I definitely felt like it was an improvement over the 4th volume, but I wouldn't have said that it was on par with the 3rd one still. So unfortunately it didn't quite get a 5-star rating, but again it did get a 4-star rating from me, and again the artwork is the same guy, and it's really, really fun. I love the way that it's quite tonal, and certain pages have different tones of colour on them and spots of colour, and it's just a fun series. So again, pretty gruesome still, but quite a lot of fun. 4 out of 5 stars for this one. Next, I decided to pick up Amulet Volume 2. This one is called The Stonekeeper's Curse, and this is a kids series, so it is appropriate for kids to read if they want to. It's not a mature graphic novel, which is quite a change because usually the graphic novels I read are mature graphic novels. This one I picked up because I read the first one a while ago and I really enjoyed it, and I love the art style that Kazu Kibushi employs. He's excellent at drawing and colouring, and just generally the whole thing works really well. It's a very fun story, it's got a lot of very fun characters. The art style is very clean, it's very clear, it's very beautiful, and some of the pages within this are just stunning. I'll see if I can find one that is beautiful, because some of them are very, very action-packed and some of them are just utterly gorgeous, like this page. So some of the pages are just stunning, 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 and other pages are all about the battle scene and the action. So it's quite a mix, and I really, really enjoyed that. I think we got to know the characters a bit more in this one. I felt like there was more going on in this one, more action, and the mystery element wasn't as strong, but there was more of an adventure element in this one, and I enjoyed that a lot. So I ended up giving this one a 4 out of 5 stars as well. I have the 3rd volume, so I'll definitely be continuing on with the series sometime very soon. And I would highly recommend this if you have kids and you want to read them a series. It's a lot of fun, it's got some cool characters, it's got some cool ideas, it's quite fantastical, and yeah, it's just a very enjoyable read overall. Next I picked up Rat Queens, which is volume 2. This one is called The Far-Reaching Tentacles of Neurogoth. I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but yeah, it's got tentacles in it, definitely. This one is quite a change from Amulet. This one is definitely mature. There's a lot of drug use, there's a lot of sex, there's a lot of very weird, creepy things that go on, but it is so fun. It's about this kind of gang of characters who are pictured on the front cover. There are 4 of them, and they are called the Rat Queens. They're kind of like a mercenary group for hire, and they get on really well, but also they bicker amongst themselves, and they're a lot of fun to read about. I really enjoyed seeing their charisma, seeing their personalities come more into the light in this volume, because in the first one I didn't feel like I fully connected with them, whereas in this one I feel like we're starting to get to know them, we understand a bit more about each of their backstories, and the adventure and action part of this was a lot of fun. I definitely enjoyed where the plot went, and I felt like all of the characters kind of come into their own. It's definitely not a heavy read, it's just fun, it's action-packed, it's intense, and that's what I wanted because I read this as part of a readathon, and that's always good to break up the other books. So I'm going to try and find a page to show you guys that isn't too bad. So there's a few pages like this. I love the art style. I'll show you guys some of the front covers that they do for the issues because I think they are just utterly beautiful. So this is one of the front covers that is on the individual issues, and they are always so, so stunning. They're just very, very pretty, and I think whoever does this artwork, I'm not entirely sure if it's Weeb Upchurch or Sijik, but whoever does it, yeah, it's beautiful and I love it. And there was so much that went on in this, and we definitely learned a lot more about the backstory, so that really made me connect more to the characters and enjoy the whole premise of this a lot more. And as you guys can see, the artwork is just beautiful, so highly recommended this series, and I ended up giving this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was a lot of fun, very kick-ass, very feminine focused, very empowering, and it's fun. It's really, really fun. Next I picked up Porcelain, which is named a gothic fairy tale. This is by Benjamin Reed and Chris Wildgoose, and this is an indie published book, so you may not have heard of this one before. If you haven't, go out, pick it up. It's fantastic. I absolutely adored this. Gothic fairy tale is definitely the way I would describe this. The artwork in this is absolutely gorgeous. I loved the colour tones that they went with in this, and the way that they drew the main character was just beautiful. It's so stunning. There's a page in here that I absolutely loved. I will try and find it for you guys, but honestly, this is one of the most beautiful books I've read in a long time. The colour palettes are just absolutely seamlessly perfect, and I would highly recommend them. If you guys have never ever seen this book before, then please do go and pick it up. It's about a young urchin, a street urchin, and she goes into this big old house on a dare to kind of please her friends, and when she's in there she meets this old man who actually lives there, and he ends up kind of taking her under his wing and showing her what he does for a job, which is all very magical and mystical and very creepy as well. But yeah, it's really, really creepy and surreal and ethereal, and I really, really enjoyed the tones and the vibes that I got whilst reading this. So again, this one I gave 4.5 out of 5. It was fantastic. It was just beautiful. I can't wait for the next volume to come out, which I think is very soon. I think it comes out sometime this year, and I will definitely be picking that up when it comes out, because this was just wonderful and I can't wait to see where the story goes next. And then the final book, the one that I most enjoyed out of all of these, is The Wicked and the Divine, Volume 1, which is called The Forced Act, and this is by Gillan, McKelvey, Wilson and Cowles, and I love this. It was so good. The artwork in this one made it fantastic, but the story is also really cool. The story of this one focuses on these gods. Every 90 years these gods return to Earth and they sort of take over people's bodies, and they are alive for I think 2 years, and they can do whatever they like and they can sort of help out humanity or whatever they want to do really, but they definitely have a big effect on the world whenever they do kind of reincarnate. And the premise focuses on a young girl who is kind of going around meeting all these gods and the things that they do and how they kind of start messing up humanity when one of them gets a little bit angry and does something that kind of ruins everyone else's fun. So yeah, on the whole, this story was great. I enjoyed this story a lot, but the artwork truly made it utterly fantastic. So I'm going to show you guys some of the artwork. One thing I love is that the individual issues have these beautiful faces on them. They are so stunning. There's all of these really cool, beautiful designs for characters, and each of the characters is showcased as the front cover for each individual issue, and it's so gorgeous. There's God to a men and women, and it's just, so good. I love the different colour tones that we get going on. I think there's some really interesting elements to the story, some very cool people who I want to know more about, and I can't wait to get volume 2. I think it comes out in July. I just absolutely loved this. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was utterly perfect. I couldn't have seen a better way for it to end. I really enjoyed the way that everything unfolded, and it was just captivating. I didn't want to put it down. I read it all in one sitting. It was amazing. Yeah. Fantastic book. If you guys have not read this, I don't know why. I've heard mixed things about it. I know some people don't enjoy it, but a lot of people think the artwork is nice, but they don't like the story. For me, the story was great and it worked so well with the artwork. So on the whole, this was just awesome, fantastic, lovely. I just loved it. So I would highly recommend this to you guys. If you've never heard of it or you've never picked it up, then do go and investigate it and see if it's something that you guys might like. So those are all of the ones that I've read recently. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts if you have read any of the ones that I talked about, or if you've continued on with any of the series. I will definitely be continuing on with Chew, Porcelain, Amulet, and Rat Queens and The Wicked and the Divine. Probably not Black Science, not really feeling that one, but I would love to hear your thoughts if you guys have got any further with any of them, or if you're just interested in letting me know what you felt about them. Please leave them in the comments below and I will definitely reply to you guys. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little chat about the